Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. I'm your host, Jerred Moon. The Garage Gym Athlete Podcast is a result of my desire to build better humans, unequivocal coaches, and autonomous athletes. I've spent the last several years obsessing over program design, nutrition, and every other way you can optimize human performance. This podcast distills the latest scientific research with what I've learned and blends it with the not-so-scientific field of mental toughness. We are here to build you into a dangerously effective athlete. If you enjoy this podcast, you can find out more about our training at garagegymathlete.com. And if you want to pursue more into the field of coaching and programming, head to endof3fitness.com. Thanks for listening. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. Jerred Moon here with Asher Gifford. What's up, man?
How's it going?
It's going pretty well. I was looking when we last recorded, and it was all the way back towards the beginning of 2019, or at least that's when it was published. So That's when we were still doing seasons. And so I think it's awesome, man. It's awesome that you're still around. And I know you got some updates for us, so I want to get into it. But before we get into the updates, just some intros for anybody who hasn't listened to your first episode.
Sure thing. Yeah. I'm single dad. I've got a 10-year-old boy. I work for a industrial controls and automation company. I'm a project/construction manager. So a lot of desk-bound, chair-bound days, but do get to be out in the field sometimes. So training and gym time is a huge priority for me for staying active, since I do have a sedentary job most of the time. Been with GGA for almost 3 years now. Back when really, I think it was just you and Joe, and then Kyle came in shortly after I started. And it's been cool to see the team grow as well as the community grow.
Yeah, man. Yeah, the community has grown quite a bit, and you've been around for a long time, which is awesome. And I definitely want to get some updates from you. So tell us, man, what has happened since the last interview? A lot has probably happened. It's 2019, right? So what have you experienced? I know we've been through a pandemic as well as the rest of 2019 you did there, and now we're into 2021. So what are some updates?
Yeah. So at the time I recorded last time, my dad was in the hospital, so my training was kind of sporadic for a little while there. But I got back into it and was preparing for the Spartan Beast that you guys all hooked up for. And about 6 weeks or so before that, I re-injured my back with another couple of bulged discs, something I've been struggling with for a long time. And found out that I have my lower lumbar discs are all at like 30%. So they bulge really easily. I've always have pressure and stiffness. So then as a result of that, I wasn't able to go do that race. Spent the last part of 19 just kind of trying to get recovered from that, and was feeling good at the beginning of 2020. Actually was able to earn my Killing Comfort patch that first cycle.
That's awesome.
And even then though, was just training through the pain a lot of times and took time to recover, but looking back now, I realized I didn't take nearly enough time to recover. And then moved into that second cycle of 20 and was playing hide and seek with my son and the neighbor kids, and decided it'd be a good idea to hide in a tree. And coming out of the tree, a branch broke, fell out of the tree, and hurt my back again. So,
oh man, that's brutal.
It was, even though I was able to kind of laugh it off at the time. And of course the kids thought it was pretty hilarious, but, after that, I got in kind of a negative space because I got hard on myself because I wasn't able to do the workouts. I wasn't getting my green dots. I wasn't fulfilling my mental obligation that I felt like I had, and got down on myself about it. And it took me a little while to check my ego and just realize, all right, man, I'm in this for the long haul. I don't want to just do, these 6 weeks, 12 weeks, what have you. So I kind of quit worrying about the boxes and checking everything off every day. And I got the hip and core program from Crossover Symmetry, and spent about 6 weeks doing that, as well as back with chiropractor and physical therapist and such. Still stayed, in the community and checking in with everybody, what was going on in the group, but didn't really do any of our prescribed workouts for 6 or 8 weeks or so. And then just finally slowly started working them back in, doing what I could, scaling back weights and things as I needed to. And then the back half of last year, the pandemic actually probably helped me because I didn't really have anything going on. So it was a lot of time just in the gym working and retooling my form on everything, squats to burpees. A lot of time I wasn't able to run because of it. So a lot of my conditioning was on the Airdyne. So then even adjusting my running form to where I could move without pain again. And then the last cycle of 2020, we did a lot of structured strength with hard to kill, which was perfect for me at the time. Just a block of moving the bar around, and with retooling my squat and retooling some of these movements, I found much more comfortable ways for me to move the bar and more efficiently move the bar. And as a result, I was able to PR back squat and front squat both at the end of last week. Wasn't huge. It was only about 5 pounds, but still, I hadn't hit my previous max for over a year before that because of all of these things. So was a great refresher to have the year wrap up that way. And to get myself back in a mindset where I'm doing this kind of back to where I originally did because it's fun, because I enjoy what I'm doing, not necessarily to achieve a goal, but just to kind of get back to ground zero and rebuild from scratch again. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. I'm just having fun again and enjoying getting in the gym every day and getting the workout done.
That's huge, man. So you say retooling. I mean, what was that? What did that look like for you? Is that, taking all the weights down and really focusing on form? Like what it does retooling look like? Because I think a lot of people could probably benefit from that. So, I mean, if you have any more details on that, I would love to hear it.
Yeah. It was almost a complete drop of weight. Body weight, I never had any trouble. I can go full depth, almost touching heels in the bottom of a squat with just body weight. But when I'd start to put a weighted bar on my back, I'd notice pressure coming down, getting in the bottom of a squat. So I played with foot placement, tried going out wider, tried going narrower, toes straighter, toes out, just trying to find the little fine tuning to where I could move the bar to a point where it didn't hurt to do it anymore. And as a result of some of my back issues, I found out that I have a transitional vertebrae at the base of my spine. So like my pelvic bone's in 2 pieces. Everybody, you're born that way. And in puberty, it fuses. Well, I'm a small population that does not do that. So in a real deep squat, I'd have a lot of pressure of just bone on bone. So I had to find that happy medium of depth, getting low enough, but not so low that it was hurting. And then slowly working weight back up. And it took me a long time to get to where I could do, even body weight at this new form, just because my body wasn't used to moving that efficiently. I had found little crutches and things to help me get back up out of a squat or something, even though it wasn't efficient. And as a result, I feel stronger. I might not be moving as much weight as I have at one time, but it feels better. I'm not as sore the next day or dreading, oh God, here comes squats again.
Yeah.
And even channeling some of, and this kind of will go into my mental toughness thing. You guys covered a study in the podcast about comparisons of in between strength sets of focus, mindset on the movement and going through the mental cues versus scrolling Instagram or something. Started doing that as well. I'd stand there and I'd think about my breath, think about the first cue of my movement. So then by the time I'd get under the bar, it was just second nature. I didn't have to walk through it again. And even how I approached the bar, now every time I put my head under the bar, I'm doing it with more intent than just picking the bar up out of the rack.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating if you think about loading hundreds of pounds on your back. That's a really big deal. Like but we often treat it, people like you and I, because we do it so often, as just like, it's whatever. Right. Mm-hmm. But we probably should treat it how you're talking about every single time, of like, this is a really big deal. Let's be really focused and like execute this to the best of our ability. But sometimes we do just, take it for granted what we're actually doing and how cool that is in our ability to do so. But it does take a certain level of focus to be good at it, and to not get hurt in the process.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's fun moving from I got to move this bar because I want to move so much weight, to, all right, we get to squat today. Like, all right, I get some weight. It's fun to go back to that change.
Yeah. And taking that long-term mindset, I think it's so hard for all of us to do, but just backing off for a year or whatever it took, to be able to come back is going to be better in the long game. That takes a lot of maturity and a long time to build that mindset. So I think that's awesome that you have. And I think that'll serve you for a very long time.
Definitely. Yeah, man, I still want to be doing this stuff when I'm 60. I want to show the grandkids how to do a burpee someday,
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Man, Grandpa's cool.
Dude, yeah, outwork them at 60 would be even cooler,
That's right. That's right.
That's awesome, man. Well, you mentioned, the pandemic kind of shut everybody down, right? With being able to do events and stuff. Or do you have let's just pretend like at some point 2021 goes back to normal or some new normal. You plan on any races or events?
Yeah, I actually went ahead and jumped on the Carolina Beast again, since that's the one I missed. And then I've been wanting to get back into doing some more racing on my motorcycle again. So I'm hoping to get 1 or 2 races in on my bike this year, as well as for sure the one Spartan. Maybe try to get 2 of those done, as long as things stay open and the events are on still.
What kind of motorcycle racing are you into?
It's dirt bikes, so it's off-road. It's not really motocross, but it's they call them hare scrambles. So you got a clock running of like 2 hours, and it's a circuit through woods or quarries, wherever they have the race at. And it's, anywhere from a 5 to 8 mile loop, and you got 2 hours to do as many laps as you can do. And, if you start another lap at hour 45, you still got to finish the thing. You're not done until you're back. So it's a grind. And that's kind of what got me into OCRs, that was the closest thing I could find to the experience without having the expense or the travel to be able to haul my equipment and things around to be able to do that kind of stuff. So,
yeah, there's something about being in nature, however it's done, that's the most fun. I think obstacle course racing, I just recently went skiing and hadn't been in a long time, but just like can be out in the trees and do all that kind of stuff. And I think that what you're doing with the dirt bike racing, that sounds really fun too.
Yeah, man, it's awesome. I love getting out, even if it's just going to the pond down the street or something and walking around on the trails. It's good for the body to get outside. That's for sure.
That's great, man. Well, that's exciting. I'm glad to hear about your progress. The last thing I want to hit on before we get to the other questions is you mentioned earning that Killing Comfort patch. So that's, a lot of consistency. So I'd love to hear if you have any pointers or tips for athletes who are trying to earn that patch. How can they maintain that consistency?
Yeah. When you kind of first came out with the Killing Comfort stuff, I've always had a thing with wolves. My son still teases me because I've got wolf stuff around the house. But when it first came out, in the analogy of the success rate of wolves to our Killing Comfort philosophy, really hit me. And, up until then, it was the PR shirts that kind of keep everybody going. And the daily grind of getting in the gym, getting the work done, and then earning that patch at the end of it, I think I probably cherish that thing more than I have my PR shirts, because it took so long to earn it, and it took so much more daily effort and consistency to earn that. So I think if that's what your goal is, keep that focus of, this is a long 12 weeks that I have to earn this. But, one day you don't check something off drops your percentage down, right? So just making sure you're diligent with getting the work in and getting it done, and staying focused on it is the biggest thing.
Yeah. And that's what I want for the whole community. I want everybody to come in and get that PR, because when you first start with us, it should be fairly straightforward. Follow the programming, have your baselines, and set PRs. But after that, I don't want anybody to really have the PR mentality in perpetuity, because it will never end. As we all know, as we always could want more, but challenging athletes to be more consistent is something I really enjoy doing. It's challenging, and I think it's awesome for the athlete, and it's cool. Have you found since earning that, being consistent being any easier than previously?
I think so. Yeah. And that was part of what kind of got me so down last year, was I had been so consistent and getting my boxes checked off and completing the team builder, that when I wasn't able to do it, it was almost devastating, that I felt like I was failing at something. So I kind of had to personally take a little different path. I'd write the workout on my board, and if I ran out of time or something happened and I wasn't able to finish the last block, it stayed on the board until I was able to come back around and finish it. So I still kept the mindset of completing it without this obligation that I felt that I had. But I know a lot of people, checking it off to get the green dot on the calendar, that is their certificate, their check that they got it done. And now, like I said, I'm back to doing this for having to have fun. I still have that mindset of accomplishing so much of the work. It became a habit just in trying to achieve it.
Yeah. And it's hard to if you have to take a step back to stop checking those things off, that is very challenging. And I haven't talked a lot about injuries. I mean, I mentioned them here and there, but when in North Carolina, when I was running, I broke my foot. And so that became the hard to kill track rowing edition. And then even with squatting, I couldn't go put too much weight on my back because it'd be too much pressure on my foot. So there was that. There was last year, or I guess it was 2019. My knee was just, from doing Murph every week, was like pretty dicey. I wasn't like officially, I didn't like tear a meniscus or ACL problems, but I was seeing a physical therapist about it. But the thing that you did, and I think is really important to highlight, is when there's a problem, that should become the focus and attention of, let's change. Maybe we can still do some of the programming, because even with a broken foot and a tweaked knee, I was still doing hard to kill programming, but only what I could do, some variation of it, while focusing a majority of, if a physical therapist gave me something that I needed to do, making sure that was included in the day's training with whatever else I could. So when people have a problem, it needs to become the focus. And I think that that's what you did right, where a lot of athletes will just have a nagging injury and just think that it's something they will have to live with, or they don't need to focus on, or God forbid, just take some ibuprofen and hit the training session. That's what some athletes do. And that's not going to be good for you long-term, man. So I think that's really awesome. And I think a lot of athletes can take a lot away from what you've done. Yeah.
And I did that for a while. So I'll just train through it again today. It'll go away. Well, it doesn't just go away. You got to fix it and work at it for sure.
Awesome. All right, man. Well, I want to get updates to some of these questions, see if things have changed for you. The hardest workout you've ever done?
Yeah, that has changed actually. Last time I talked about a short time I spent at a gym, and one of the workouts the guy came up with. I think now if I did that, I could destroy that workout, because we've definitely done harder stuff than that. So I've kind of got a two-part answer to that. just long, grueling, hard workout conditioned me to the grave. No question. I mean, I have finished the entire workout once, and it was over the cap, but it was one of those, I just want to see how long it takes me to do it. I've done it 4 times, I think now, and I have yet to get it under the cap. So that's definitely a hard one. But I wanted to note, Blitzkrieg 2.0 is probably my favorite, but also extremely hard. I liked the original Blitzkrieg when we had the Operation Overlord cycle. Yeah, was probably one of my favorite workouts, and I underestimated how hard 2.0 was going to be, because it's definitely as hard as you make it. That's for sure.
Yeah, and that's, with most Meet Yourself Saturday workouts, they're only going to be as hard as you allow them to be, which is the fun in it.
Yeah.
All right. In your opinion, what's the best activity for building mental toughness, and has that answer changed?
Yes. I think before I had said just getting after it and doing it, especially when you don't want to. Those things all still stand, but lately a specific practice I've been doing is training with no music. I've always ran with no music. I like hearing the noises of the neighborhood, even the dog barking at you when you run by, but especially a strength training session, not using the music to pump you up, just focusing on the bar and the movements that you have to do. It's a whole different game sometimes if there's no music.
For sure.
And on like an interval weight training or a mixed modality or something, you don't have the beat to kind of keep you in time a little bit with the pace, and you just got to grind it out. It's tough. So I try to do at least 2, sometimes 3 sessions every week with just no music.
That's awesome. Yeah. Only your heartbeat and your breath, that it could take away motivation sometimes, but it's a good practice.
Yeah.
Now, if you could only have one piece of equipment to train with for the rest of your life, what would it be?
That changed as well. At the time I had said barbell, because I was very new to using a barbell. But I think now I'm going to say my vest.
I like that.
I can find a place to do pull-ups. I can find a place to do dips. But doing anything with a vest on just makes it that much more harder. So I would keep it.
Awesome. All right, man. Well, Joe normally asks this question. I'm going to ask it for him since he can't be here today. If you could add a piece of equipment for free to your gym right now today, what would it be?
It'd be a bigger garage, a nice big backyard. That's no question about that one.
Awesome, man. And last question, what is the best advice you have for all the garage gym athletes out there?
Have fun. Even if your goal is to train for something specific, don't forget that even though this stuff is hard and it can suck some days, at the end of the day, it's fun, and enjoy it.
Awesome. Well, Asher, it's great having you in the community and for being around for as long as you have been. So I really do appreciate that. And I appreciate you sharing everything that you did with us today and for your time, man. So really, I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. If you want to learn more, go to garagegymathlete.com. You can learn about our training. Let us send you a copy of our book, The Garage Gym Athlete, or you can even get featured on the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. Thanks for listening.